And Dr. Pramila, I think in a case of collapse, maybe due to hemorrhage or maybe due to something else, I think what are the, can you just think of the basics of resuscitation of a collapsed patient?
Thank you, sir. Hope you can hear me.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. So when we talk about collapse, usually the first thing that comes into your mind is a postpartum patient having heavy bleeding and collapsing. But those are the times I think we are usually prepared for it. But when it happens, when we are least prepared, that's the time where the morbidity and mortality is going to be high. So the most important thing is being prepared for any catastrophic event. And just 2 days before, we in our casualty had a patient who came in, she had UPT positive just 2 days back, and she came in the casualty and she arrested in the casualty. We resuscitated and revived her. But by that time, she had massive intraperitoneal hemorrhage, and she had massive intraperitoneal hemorrhage, and because of the, and her HB had actually decreased to 2 gram. Okay, so such patients, those are the patients where we obstetricians should be ready to tackle. So as far as an resuscitating an collapsed patient is concerned, I think we should think it in 2 scenarios. One is a scenario where the patient is unresponsive. Immediately you should check the pulse, and if the pulse is not there, you start resuscitating the patient. And as you all know now that ABC has been little changed to CBA. So that means, or you can even say CCC, compression, compression, and compression. That is the most important part of resuscitating a collapsed patient. And if you know how to give a proper effective CPR, you can save many lives. So when you're giving CPR to a pregnant lady, the most important thing you should take in your mind is, if she's more than 20 weeks, give it the 15 to 30 degree left lateral tilt, because that itself can increase the cardiac output more. And if you have got a spinal board with a tilt available, well and good. If you're alone, what you can do is you can put your knees beneath the buttocks of the patient and give that tilt. And if the patient is very obese and if you cannot reach her properly, you can even come from the head end and give the CPR. And when you're giving it, your hand should be going perpendicular to the chest. So when that 15 to 30 degree tilt is given, that also should be kept in mind. And you should give enough time for recoil also. And the CPR is given, as you all know, it's a ratio of 30:2. And along with this, you have to take care of the IV lines. And IV line, the first instance is the best instance to get an IV line. All laboring patients should have a wide bore cannula. And if you're not able to access an IV line, you might have to resort to a venous cut down or an intraosseous route. And we as obstetricians through EMOCALS and ORRT should get ourselves trained for that. Then you have to think about the airway, give oxygen 10 to 15 liters per minute. And even if you don't know intubation, it's okay. You learn to use a supraglottic airway. And adrenaline comes in handy. You can repeat it every 3 to 5 minutes. And if you've got an AED available, you can assess the rhythm, see if it is a shockable or a non-shockable rhythm, and proceed accordingly. And the most important thing is, if the patient is not responding by 4 minutes of your resuscitation, go in with a perimortem cesarean section, which we nowadays call as resuscitative hysterotomy. Whereas suppose it is a patient who is collapsing, but otherwise she's okay, the pulse is okay, then that CPR part doesn't come in there, but you have to mainly think about the volume replacement. And as far as the PPH is concerned, never go by clinical assessment, because by the time the vitals changes, more than 30% of blood has to be lost. So shock index, you can use pulse rate by systolic BP, you can use. If shock index is elevating, you have to be very careful, but mainly our clinical judgment will suffice. And along with that, you have to arrest the bleeding. I think somebody else will be talking about it.
Yes.
And
yes.
crystalloids and colloids might be useful when blood is not available at that point of time, but do not use Hemacel. And think of using vasopressors if the patient is collapsing. Monitor the patient. And most important is keep the patient warm. And if you're transferring the patient, you can use an NASG also. And once, along with this, keep in your mind that if it is a massive PPH, it might be better to shift the patient to a theater where you will get enough help further for monitoring the patient and managing the patient. And if you are activating a massive transfusion protocol, that has to be kept in mind. And definitely management has to be carried out. You have to monitor the patient further in an HTU again. And as I said earlier, morbidity and mortality is more when you are least prepared. So we as obstetricians should get ourselves prepared through our EMOCALs, and all hospitals, I think, should have an ORRT team for them. And last but not the least, document everything, because that is what is going to save you. Thank you.
Thank you, Pramila, for bringing out that particular term, ORRT. Okay. And apart from that, we like to initiate the massive transfusion protocol, but unfortunately we don't have time, so we will just skip on that slide. So the most important message is, if you want to save the patient, resuscitate. That is the first and foremost step. Then you will have to arrest the bleeding or address any other cause which precipitate the shock, then aggressive. So these are three important objectives in any case of collapse.